Exciting room to enter. Full of wonderful people.
This is a very exciting room.
Hey, Angela.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Hi, Maya. Hi, Maya.
Hello,
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Okay.
Hey everyone, welcome to the press conference. I'm going to open up the questions to you, of course, but first I want to say welcome to Ethan and I at Stockholm at the International Film Festival. You guys are like the hardest working multi-generational duo in the industry. Hey everyone, welcome to the press conference. I'm going to open up the questions to you, of course, but first I want to say welcome to Ethan and I at Stockholm at the International Film Festival. You guys are like the hardest working multi-generational duo in the industry. I think I counted that together we have over 100 movies, some of the best TV series, novels, 2 albums, the new movie Wildcat, which you have here, and Ethan, you're going to receive the Stockholm Achievement Award.
Amazing! By the way, he's doing the brunt work of the 100 movies. There's you're going to get out of disparity here.
You have some fellow colleagues who received.
I figured out something you didn't, which is you have to turn it on.
I showed my age. This doesn't work.
Do you remember?
You talking about Before Sunrise? If I was Jesse, I would have definitely gone back. I would have definitely. And that was the idea of Before Sunset, was that I thought I would definitely go back, and Julie said I wouldn't go back. So, well, let's make a movie about that.
Well, Ethan,
I figured out something you didn't, which is you have to turn it on.
I showed my age. This doesn't work.
do you remember the first?
Own egotistical self-promotion. And our hope is that it can. And that's what this movie is about in many ways.
She's a brilliant, fascinating character she was. She had a quote, she said, "The truth does not change according to our ability to stomach it." It's also quite controversial from the Jim Crow South. Talk about how you prepared portraying her.
Well, it'll be interesting to watch the movie here tonight because she is very much an American artist. I mean, I don't know if you can take any great artist and really remove them completely from the land and water and that make them up. But she was raised in a racist Jim Crow South, and she our kids and everything, and as a person making movies, you do realize one of my original ideas about this movie is I want to make a movie about a woman and her relationship to herself and her work. There's so many movies where Al Pacino and Gene Hackman and Denzel, the primary relationship is to their job and how that makes them feel about themselves. And when generalizing, there's a great deal of movies where the female characters are in relationship to other people. It's about their boyfriend, it's about their kid, it's about their mom or whatever. But it's not about their relationship to themselves and their work. And we really wanted to do that. And we wanted to not apologize. She was not interested in virtue signaling. She was not interested in telling you a story that, that makes you feel good about yourself. She was interested in poking you. And prompting you. And I would read her stories, and you would feel yourself. It's.
You are the only way. I'll follow you forevermore. We'll look for love, we'll find it in the eyes.
Year without acting, which is unsettling. In regards to the profession, the way that movies are interacting with the world is changing dramatically, and it feels a lot like what happened in the music industry 20 years or so ago, where we're being inundated with so much material, and how it's sold and how it's received is changing so dramatically that it's really impacting artists' lives. Is an American writer who wrote a book called The Good Lord Bird, which I did as a mini-series. If you haven't seen it, I really highly recommend it.
And mine's in it too.
And mine's in it too. And James is a great writer. He's a new book called Heaven and Earth Grocery Store and Deacon King Kong and The Color of Water. And he hits at real life without ever losing his sense of humor, which I think is so important. He's so funny. And I really appreciate that when people keep their wit about them. You know, Chekhov is so funny, and Beckett is so funny, and Jeanette Witterson is so funny. And there are people there, and by funny I mean they have wit to what they're doing.
I figured out something you didn't, which is you have to turn it on.
I showed my age. This doesn't work.
Do you remember the first movie Ethan showed you? Like Tarkovsky or something?
Ever? I think it was A Bug's Life.
Watch that movie a lot.
Another type of parenting, yeah.
I figured out something you didn't, which is you have to turn it on.
As a kind of leaping off pad to engage in a dialogue about what is human creativity, and is it an act of worship, and how can it impact our daily life?
And the fact that you were going to direct your daughter's passion project, was that intimidating as a parent?
Well, as a parent, I don't know. I had to kind of not think as a parent and accept Maya as an artist, as this very, very talented human being that had a passion for a character. And I respond to that. I think that good movies are often made, you know, you'll hear stories about De Niro, Scorsese didn't really want to make Raging Bull. What he really responded to was De Niro's passion for Jake LaMotta, and use Miss O'Connor's life as a kind of leaping off pad to engage in a dialogue about what is human creativity, and is it an act of worship, and how can it impact our daily life?
And the fact that you were going to direct your daughter's passion project, was that intimidating as a parent?
Well, as a parent, I don't know. I had to kind of not think as a parent and accept Maya as an artist, as this very, very talented human being that had a passion for a character. And I respond to that. I think that good movies are often made, you know, you'll hear stories about De Niro, Scorsese didn't really want to make Raging Bull. What he really responded to was De Niro's passion for Jake LaMotta.
Tell a story about, and then enter the paternal figure.
And so you got the job.
And Maya came to me with all this that she just told you, and said, like, I want to play this character, and what would the movie be? And I started thinking about one of the things that's remarkable about her is this incredibly devout young woman faced with mortality at a very young age, and the discipline she had in her faith and her writing. And I started to see her fiction as the greatest manifestation of her faith. That her faith and her search and her longing was best expressed in her work. And I thought, well, wouldn't it be amazing if we made a movie about her and disguised a movie that was really about imagination and faith and how that impacts reality.
Secretly be a genius, who would someday be taught in English classes, which is not true, but at the time felt optimistic, and I got to share it with my dad, and it really slipped right into all the conversations we've been having, because it is, deeply about one's relationship to faith and a higher power, whatever that may be. She's very specific to Christ. But I think that you can kind of imagine whatever it is that you see as something bigger than yourself that you want to serve. And so we read this journal together, and then he helped me work on an audition monologue for drama schools based on the entries. And it just kind of stayed in my noggin, and I eventually figured out that this guy, Joe Goodman, who also worked on this film and produced it, had the rights to not only the prayer journal, but all of her short stories and letters, which was a tremendous resource for the idea of making a film. A very intimidating. We spent a lot of time alone together in hotel rooms and trailers, just talking. And he did me the dignity of, even as a young person, talking to me about big ideas, and making art with me, and reading poetry and reading literature and watching movies and talking about art and talking about our place in the universe. So I was really lucky to have kind of a grounded set point of asking these kinds of questions. And then when I was a teenager, I was really struggling, and I found Flannery's prayer journal, and it was so liberating and exciting to me to find a novelist that was taught in English class had this private journal where they confessed such insecurity and confusion about their place in the universe and their relationship to art and work. And it was really inspiring and exciting, because it opened up the possibility that even though I was debilitatingly insecure, I could see a joke imprint. Like for a moment it crosses your mind that something could be delightfully funny and make the person sitting across from you laugh because of the thing they just said before. And then it's imprint, and people are like, that's what you, it's like, oh, it really is. But I have a nauseating career is a lot of saying yes. You don't totally reach a point where it's a good decision to turn down good work. And by good work, I mean, is the script interesting? Are the people who are making it passionate about what they're making? And does it have financing? Is it an actual job? If those, when you're building your career, I think you're still in the auditioning and the saying yes place. I will say that when it comes to movies that don't have financing and that are kind of scripts floating around looking for actors and people to attach them so that they could, I really look for the same thing. Some spark that says, I want to be that person. Like, there's some part of me I want to explore, and that person's exploring. And it's like an integrated process in that way, where you're like, oh, God, I really don't know how I feel about like relationships. And you're like, well, this person's thinking about that. So maybe if I go figure out what they think about relationships, I'll learn something about what I do. Or, so that's my long answer, which really I should have just said, ask me in 20 years.